Hello and welcome to SYN108, What's New in Citrix Cloud Identity. My name is Rick Fejo. I'm a distinguished engineer. I've been at Citrix for 21 years now, probably my 15th synergy and Thynergy. And I've been the architect of various technologies at Citrix and currently one of the architects of Citrix Cloud Platform. That's an interesting rocket. Don't know what that's about. Hopefully that's... Alrighty, back to the random. And I'm currently the architect of identity, concentrating on identity. And with me, I have Oscar Day.
Hello, everybody. My name is Oscar Day, and I'm a product manager on the Citrix Cloud Platform with primary focus on the identity platform. So today, we're going to talk about the Citrix Identity Platform, what it is first, what we support in it, and how it's ever so evolving. So Rick here, he's the brains of the whole operation, as you heard. He's been working on the identity platform for many years. So every time he goes and explains to somebody what is the Citrix Identity Platform, they look confused. He goes, starts drawing diagrams on the wall, and they don't know how it works. So I challenged him to come up with a metaphor of how is this all put together? How does this work?
Okay. And so I took that challenge, and he's right. When I talk to folks inside of Citrix and even to customers, I always end up on the board drawing pictures to explain it. And so I thought, well, how can I, we have a few folks in the audience who've been part of those whiteboard diagrams. So try to come up with a analogy of exactly what it is. And thought about it, and passports. So have you ever thought about why do we have passports? What is their purpose? Why do US citizens and citizens around the world have a passport that they use to travel between countries? So for those of you from the United States or even other countries, you probably have the concept of a state license. So in the United States, the 50 states, they each have their own license. So here you see the Southeast United States, the different licenses. So they all have our picture, they all have our date of birth, they have our names. So why don't we use our driver's license to travel to Europe and travel to India, et cetera? Well, the reason is that would never scale. So here you have just a few examples, 5 examples, right? If we actually talk about the 200 or so countries in the world, here's 5 examples of agencies that would have to interact with the licenses. So you have the US, we have the UK Customs, India, Canada, and it just would not scale to have to teach each one of those agencies how the 50 different licenses work. So you can see here just showing 4 licenses, teaching them how those 4 work. Not only that, let's say that you got through those 5 and you introduced them to the 50 licenses. What happens when that next agency wants to use it for identification? You now have to teach that agency about each of the 50 licenses. Again, that's not going to scale. Now, we're probably not going to have a 51st state, but let's say we had a 51st state. Well, then now you have to bring that 51st state in. You have to teach all of the agencies how that 51st state is. So it's just not going to scale. So that's what passports are for. So passports are a standard way for agencies to understand how to identify a US citizen or a citizen of any country. And what you do is you develop the standards of the passport, and that's what you teach to all the agencies. Now you have that very well documented, so it's easy to onboard a new agency, right? Because you give them all the standards, they follow the standards, they're good to go. If there's a new license, we get our 51st state, well then there's a department, and we'll talk about that, that's the Department of State, will figure out how to convert that driver's license to the passport, and you don't have to worry about teaching all of the different agencies. So that's how it works, and that's how it scales. So interestingly enough, when I started thinking about this passport analogy, I thought, well, it's not really going to be the same. It's not going to be the same problems in detail that we have when we're trying to onboard a new identity provider or a new directory. Well, it turns out that it is the exact same problem. Because Notice that for the passport, I have to have a date of birth. But look at the date of birth in each of the different licenses. They're all different. Some of them use slashes, some of them use dashes, some of them use 4-digit years, some of them use a 0 in the month, some do not. Another thing, take a look at, I want to identify somebody's eye color. Brown is brown. Well, look at Virginia. Brown is BRO. Look at Arkansas. Brown is BR. So there's no standard for how to identify an individual between the different licenses. Even worse, what if I wanted to do hair and eye color? Notice that some of the licenses don't have eye or hair color. So as part of the passport, that's actually what we would call an optional claim. You can choose to use that claim, but it might not be there when we're bringing in new licenses. So the fact that we have all these 50 states that came up with their own standards independently, we cannot use them centrally anymore. So what does the State Department do? So the State Department has agencies in each of the states that understand how to figure out how to convert a state to a passport. And then they've said we have a passport number that is standard across all passports. So you don't have to worry about my passport number colliding with your passport number. As we noticed in South Carolina and Alabama here, both use numbers with no letters. So a South Carolina driver's license number will collide with an Alabama license number. So we can't use that. So we have another one called the passport. And if we want to know about the license, we can say state license number. Now we can know where it came from. So that's what the passport office is doing. So it makes it simple to onboard new agencies and onboard new states. So if we look at the passport system end-to-end, there's a central agency in charge, the State Department, that is converting all of the driver's licenses and creating passports for all the agencies around the world. This is what the Citrix Identity Platform is doing for Citrix products. The Citrix Identity Platform standardizes, normalizes an identity token by doing all of the conversion from all of the different IDPs that are out there that, by the way, do all of this differently. They each have the name differently. They each have the email differently. They each use different identifiers. Some have UPNs, some do not. So the Citrix Identity Platform, we have a bunch of plugins that do the conversions to come up with a standardized token that all of our products use. So that allows us to onboard products very quickly without having to teach each of our products about each of the different identity providers that we support. So right now we started, when we started this about 3 years ago, I think we had one product. I think we're up to 15 or 16 different Citrix Cloud products that have been onboarded to Citrix Cloud, and they don't have to worry about what are all the different identities I need to support. They support the one Citrix Identity Platform token. So these products know how to do this. It's a standard procedure. And then it's our job as the identity platform team to bring in new IDPs and new directories. So the next question that I get asked is, well, is the identity platform, what is its role and what are the products? The identity platform is actually the platform itself plus a combination of functionality in the different products that provide identity normalization, that's being done by the fundamental underlying platform, and then SSO that is provided by the different products. And so over on the right, you see all of the identity providers that we support or are going to support very soon. Later on, we're going to show actual demos of this in production. There's a lot of people that are waiting for the FAS service. There's a lot of people that are waiting for some of the identity providers that Oscar's going to talk about and show. And I just glanced over, and Oscar's got our demos working. So we're good to go. We had a little glitch right as we were plugging everything into the system, so that's good to know. And so you can see we have Active Directory, Azure Active Directory, Citrix NetScaler, something that we're really proud, bringing the power of the on-premises gateway to the cloud, Okta, Google, et cetera. And all of these identities flow into our products to be able to do what is important for you guys as customers, for our partners, is to be able to provide one identity across all of Citrix products and to be able to provide single sign-on to the applications that our customers and partners are interested in. So, for example, when we're doing single sign-on to a web and SaaS app, that's our gateway service. So our gateway service is taking a SAML in from our SSO to do SSO to web and SaaS, is using our internal token to identify the user and then provide that identity to a web or a SaaS app. Windows apps. So we're going to do a lot of demos today with Windows to show how we do SSO into Windows applications. So that's our virtual apps and desktop service in combination with our federated authentication service, which we're going to show. That's what we use to do single sign-on to Windows apps. How about mobile apps? So single sign-on is done by our endpoint management. I believe the session right before this went into depth about how we do SSO for mobile apps. And then finally, content connectors. So we just recently announced a integration of ShareFile to be able to do SSO without having to re-enter your username and password to talk to your internal SharePoint and SMB drives. So together with the Citrix Cloud Platform underneath and all of our products, that makes up our Citrix Identity Platform that is able to provide one identity and single sign-on to all the apps that you're interested in. So hopefully that analogy gives you an idea of what's going on. The other question that we get a lot is, what exactly is Citrix's identity strategy? What is it that, and how are you playing in that space? The reality is that we are not competing with Azure AD, Okta, and Googles of the world. We are embracing them and enabling our customers to leverage their current investment in identity. If a customer has made the choice to go with Azure AD, they can go ahead and bring that to Citrix Cloud. If they've chosen Okta, if they've chosen to invest a lot of money into their on-premises via the the Citrix Gateway, I've been here too long, the Citrix Gateway, they can do that. So it really is about enabling our customers to leverage the identity of their choice. And if they're interested in Active Directory, we can add value on top of Active Directory. We'll be showing some of our MFA options, second factor that we can do on top of Active Directory. So with that, I'll go ahead and hand it over to Oscar to talk about the roadmap and when these things are coming.
Okay, thank you, Rick. So then Rick described what is the identity platform and how we built this flexible platform that we can rapidly evolve. We can start adding new identity providers without having to worry about the other products understanding them or how they would interact. We plug them into the identity platform, and they all interconnect. So let's talk a little bit about where we are in the identity platform and where we're going. Currently, for end users to log into our Workspace service, we have support for Active Directory, we have Azure Active Directory support, and recently we now have support for Active Directory plus OneTime password. And we're going to talk more about this and the other items in detail later on. For our Citrix Cloud admins to log into the admin portal, we have Citrix Identity support as well as Azure Active Directory support. We are currently in the process of releasing 3 new and exciting features to our identity platform. The first one, as Rick was talking about, is the ability to use an on-premises Citrix Gateway as an identity provider for Workspace. We also have Okta as an identity provider, as well as support for the federated authentication service within Citrix Workspace. We'll go into detail about all of these later. In our targeted roadmap, right after these, we have Google as an identity provider, bring your own SAML, native radius support, a bunch of new and exciting features we're adding to the identity platform. For our Citrix Cloud admins, we're also going to be adding one-time password support so we can secure logins to our admin portal using a Citrix Cloud native two-factor solution, as well as Active Directory support. So let's go into detail about each one of these that I just mentioned, go over them, and then go into some live demos demonstrating these running. So let's first talk about our feature of two-factor authentication for Citrix Cloud. Now, the challenge we are trying to solve with this is that username and password alone does not satisfy modern security requirements. Most enterprises do not want to expose their Active Directory out to the open internet without some form of a second factor. So we here at the Identity Platform, we have a solution for this, which is Active Directory plus one-time password. This feature is now available to everyone. It's available in all your Citrix Cloud accounts. It's included with any of the Workspace packages at no additional cost. And it is provided natively on Citrix Cloud without any need for on-premise infrastructure, expertise, and cost. In a few quick and easy clicks, an admin can secure their workspace from potential threats using two-factor authentication with the time-based one-time password solution. So how does this work? What is this form of two-factor? Well, the time-based one-time password solution is an industry-standard algorithm which generates a unique token on a registered device. This same key is shared between both the cloud side and the client side. And when you input this key into this industry-standard algorithm, and you have the same time, both the cloud side and the client side device will generate the same 6-digit token, which will be validated during login. So we have support for a wide range of authenticator apps. Any authenticator app that supports this industry standard time-based one-time password algorithm will work with this solution. So we're giving end users the flexibility to pick whichever app best fits their life and their needs. Some of these apps include our Citrix SSO app, or Google Authenticator, Microsoft Authenticator, Semantic VIP, and many, many others. So when the admin goes in and they configure this, the end user will come into Workspace and see a screen such as this. They will see where they input their Active Directory username and password, and this new field where they'll input their 6-digit token that they got from their Authenticator app. So the end user will see this page and be like, well, I don't have a token. What do I do? Well, I'll click this Don't Have a Token link, and I'll start the enrollment process. The user will then receive an email based off the email attribute in Active Directory and receive a verification code. They'll take this verification code and place it in Citrix Cloud and plug it in with their password. So as you can see, we're doing two-factor even during the enrollment process. We're securing both the login and the device enrollment with two-factor auth. After this is validated, the user will see this screen. With this screen, they'll take out their Authenticator app, they will scan the QR code, and that will then have registered the key that they need to generate their 6-digit token. They can also input it manually as well if they're using, let's say, a desktop extension. They can click Finish and Sign In, and they'll be signed into Workspace. The next time they go to sign in, they'll have to use that 6-digit code. So I'm going to pass it to Rick, and he's going to demo that login live.
OK. Thanks, Oscar. So this is actually, I'm going to go ahead and go through, this is actually what some of us use internally in Citrix. So a lot of the Citrix IT folks I see are in the room, so you can talk to them about what it took to get all of this working. But this is, so again, this is Oscar's actual account that he uses. He allowed us to use this for the demo, and this is his phone. So here you see we've registered in with Google Authenticator. So all I have to do is quickly type this before it changes.
It changed.
Go ahead, and it changed.
Oh,
you
there's
have
a
time.
second there.
You have I think it's 15 seconds on each end to go ahead and log in. And now I'm logging into Workspace. So this is a case where inside of the Workspace, whenever any Citrix component is able to capture the username and password, we're able to do single sign-on. So here you're seeing single sign-on going to the virtual apps and desktop. So we have the password, so we're using that. This is working in production today. You get single sign-on. There we go. We have it launched. And we've been able to launch Excel. So there's single sign-on with ADOTP. A lot of thanks to the IT team in the room that got this working. And with that, I'll hand it back over to Oscar, and we'll get on to the next one.
OK, awesome. So this today is live in production. You can go into your Citrix Cloud account and secure your workspace with two-factor authentication. So now let's talk about the next exciting feature we're bringing into the identity platform. So with this feature, the challenge we are trying to solve is that many customers have made significant investments into their on-premise gateway. They've built custom solutions around this gateway. They have fairly unique identity solutions built to meet their needs. So the challenge becomes that when moving to the Workspace service, we may not natively support their identity solution that they've built custom for them and their enterprise. So the solution is we'll bring the Citrix gateway as an identity provider for Workspace. This will allow people to start their cloud migration. If you're fully on-premises today, you have on-prem storefront and your on-prem gateway, you can start using the Workspace service. You can drop the storefront and keep the login experience exactly the same for your users. Because what will occur is the user will go to their cloud.com URL or their native app, and then they will be redirected to the on-premise gateway. And at that point, the user will log in with whatever method the admin has configured. This could be radius-based second factor. This could be smart card, conditional access policies, pass-through authentication. Any number of methods for authentication that you can configure in the gateway will be supported in this flow. Once the user logs in, they'll be redirected back fully signed in. To configure this, the admin will go to their Citrix Cloud portal and select the option to connect their gateway to their account. They will input the FQDN of where their gateway is located. And then we will provide a client ID, a secret, and a redirect URL. With this, they will create an OAuth IDP profile on the gateway. And then once they have completed the gateway setup, they'll come back to the admin side of Citrix Cloud, click Test and Finish at the bottom there, and we'll test to make sure everything's connected correctly, and they'll be good to go. So we're going to demo this solution today in production.
OK, so this is Prod 1, again, built by our IT team, that is actually leveraging the AAA to do authentication. So here you see us from the cloud redirecting to the AAA. And this has been set up with Radius. So this is using Radius plus Semantic VIP. Notice it's Oscar's Citrix password again. Now for this, Oscar will delete this credential ID. Please don't take a look at that. So this is his actual credential ID that he's going to delete after this.
Around here.
And we're going to go ahead and log in. So this is using Radius and Semantic VIP in the Netscaler AAA. And you're going to see now we're going to come back to the workspace. Now, the Netscaler AAA can be configured in two different ways. It can be configured to pass the credentials to the cloud via a back-end encrypted channel where we have a trust set up with the cloud. Or the administrator can choose to do pure federation, where you don't want to pass your credentials to the cloud, and then you need federated authentication services, which we're going to talk about in a bit. So this has been set up without. So this is going to do SSO with our most published app in the world, Excel here. We're going to do SSO and launch without having to enter credentials, because the credentials were passed from the on-premises Netscaler in a back-end encrypted channel, and now you're able to do SSO. So this gives you choice to be able to leverage whatever it is that you have set up, back and forth Radius, Duo, whatever it is that you've set up on your traditional Netscaler gateway. and bring it to the cloud. So I'll go back to Oscar.
All right. So Rick mentioned this topic about in a pure federation scenario, we Citrix do not have access to the username and password in any of these components. So we need some sort of solution to enable single sign-on when launching apps and desktops in Workspace when you're using a federated identity provider scenario. So today on premises, we have this solution of the federated authentication service to enable single sign-on. So we need a way to bring this to the Workspace. So a solution is the cloud-enabled federated authentication service. And what this is the user will go in using their Okta or their Google or their Azure AD credentials. They'll sign into the Workspace service. And the Workspace will reach out to the on-premises FAS server, pass the UPN, and the FAS server will do the same thing it does today. It'll go to the AD, perform an AD lookup, and assign a virtual smart card certificate to pass to the VDA on behalf of the user. Now, the VDA only has two methods of sign-in when you want to sign in to a Windows interactive session. You need either the username or password or some sort of smart card certificate-based method. So then, in this federation scenario, we did not have access to the username and password, so the only option we have is the certificate-based method. So FAS is our solution in this case. FAS will provide the VDA with this virtual smart card certificate and provide single sign-on. So we're going to demo today the ability to use this cloud-enabled federated authentication service.
So the most asked for feature we're about to demo. So I don't know if you noticed that went to cloudburrito.com instead of cloud.com. So this is actually in our staging. So we're in the process of doing an internal tech preview here. So how many of you are using Workspace with Azure AD today? OK. Wow, that's a lot. So you can see that when you log in, you get prompted again. So you ready? I hope there's a lot of applause at the end of this. So this is Oscar's login there. I'm going to go ahead and click Next. Enter his password. So notice this is happening at login.microsoft. This is logging in over there. All right, now we're going to be coming back. So this works today. You're able to use Azure AD and log in to your Workspace. In a minute here, we're going to see the apps. This is the joys of wireless. Now here we're going to use the most published app at Citrix, which is Calc. Are you ready? Drum roll. So here we notice Calc. So notice the credentials were entered at Azure AD, so no Citrix component has access to the username and password. Here's Calc. Are you ready? Let's get prompted for username and password. No. So there you go. That's single sign-on end-to-end from Workspace to Azure AD, all the way through no username and password. We got a thumbs up from the audience. So this right now is internal tech preview. So the way we work, it rolls to public tech preview and then eventually to GA. So be on the lookout. If you're interested in being part of the internal tech preview,
I'll talk about that in a minute.
Talk to Oscar. All right.
OK, exciting demo there. Let's talk about our next feature, which is the ability to use Okta as an identity provider for Workspace. So with this feature, it's very similar to our integration with Azure AD. We're federating out to them. So the user will go to their Workspace URL, and will federate out to Okta. And the user will sign in with the Okta page using their Okta credentials. So this will provide a common experience between Workspace and Okta for the users, because they'll have the same login experience between both of them. And we also have the ability to use the Okta features and benefits, such as the Duo or YubiKey, biometric. Anything you configure on the Okta side will work when we federate out to them, and the user will sign in over there. So instead of going more into detail on bullet points, let's show it live.
All right, here we go. Now you'll start to see the power of the platform. So the fact that the platform has added these IDPs, we can quickly add them. By the way, the workspace did not have to change. The products did not have to change. And FAS that we used for Azure AD, so again, you see us going to a staging customer in Cloud Burrito. And here's Oscar's login over to Okta. So let's go ahead and sign in. Once again, the username password is being entered at Okta. And we're being redirected back to the workspace. I don't want to risk it. I was going to start Office 365, but I'm going to stick to my calc, my go-to. So we're going to launch Calculator. And once again, you're going to see single sign-on with federated authentication service instead of with Azure AD, this time with Okta. Let's see, no username and password prompt. There you go. So single sign-on with our famous calculator. We can do 1 + 1 if we want to make sure it's working. But we have single sign-on that you've seen with Azure AD, now with Okta, and no username, password involved. So what's next, Oscar?
All right. So I just want to take a moment here to tell everybody, for any of these features that you have seen on the roadmap or anything, we've run tech previews for most, if not all of them. So then you can reach out and sign up to become an early adopter if you're interested in jumping in early before it's released, so you can validate it in your own environment, but also provide this crucial feedback we need during the rollout process. So we go from private tech preview to then public tech preview, where it's available to everybody, and then we go generally available. So if you guys are interested in trying out any of these features, please reach out, because we would appreciate the feedback.
If you want to get right into his email, just use his semantic VIP that you saw.
Okay, yes. And here's our grand finale demo. We're going to put everything together. We're going to use a method, passwordless method. We're actually going to use Viridium, and they're here in Synergy. They have a booth. They're right there. Be sure to stop by their booth. They integrated with our Gateway AAA feature through this tech preview program. And then we're also going to go in with the cloud-enabled FAS tech preview. We're going to put it all together and make one amazing demo.
OK.
Oops. Right. There.
Back to me. All right. So we talked about, well, if we don't have the password, we talked about if a password is collected by a third party. But what if there are no passwords? How many of you are thinking about, I need a password solution. My users keep using Citrix 123, hopefully not in your. So Viridium, what you're going to see is exactly what Oscar talked about. We're going to redirect the Netscaler. Netscaler is going to redirect using SAML to, or actually, in this case, it's Radius. SAML can be done as well, to Viridium to do a completely passwordless authentication, single sign-on, all the way through to a Windows app. So let's see how that goes. Now for this, Oscar's going to have to grab the phone because my fingerprint is not going to work as Oscar. So I'll go ahead and enter Oscar.
So here we redirected to the gateway, and now we're using a Radius-based push.
OK. So there's send push notification. So you can see the Viridium app. Hopefully that ink stain on your finger there is not going to affect.
And I'm also going to use the biometric on the phone.
Look at that. We're getting there. So notice no password, fingerprints, and we're in. All right. Now let's tie it all together and launch Excel. So this is now using our FAS technology. Viridium also has technology where you can use their GINA to, and you would be prompted again for the fingerprint if you choose to have that extra level of authentication. But if you use our FAS technology, it will do a virtual smart card login. There we go. We're in. Excel is starting. And here I don't have Office set up, so it's going to ask me. But there you go. Single sign-on, passwordless, end-to-end into Citrix Workspace. Back to you, Oscar.
Amazing stuff. So then, as you can see, we are ever so evolving our identity platform. We've built this platform so that it's very flexible. We can start adding on different identity providers. And you now have the option to, you can be creative and build the best identity solution that works for your enterprise and yourselves, and integrate it with Citrix Workspace. So some of the key takeaways from today is that we're bringing in these new identity solutions as a top priority, and our strategy is that you, the customer, will be able to leverage whichever investment you have in identity and be able to bring that to us in Citrix Workspace. Our Citrix Cloud Active Directory plus time-based one-time password is now available to all, so be sure to go in to your cloud accounts and enable this. We have more coming later on. We have Okta, we have Google, we have this on-prem gateway, cloud-enabled FAS, the cloud-native Radius support. So keep a lookout for all of these, and reach out if you want to get on the ground floor and set this up early and provide feedback. And before you leave, we have some recommended sessions. We have, you can watch it online, download the presentations, and you can rate our session.
Right.
So we have a couple minutes for some Q&A.
I think I would like to say, if there's any session that deserves 25 points with all the live demos that we just did for you, I would say it's us. So again, I'd like to say kudos to the team here that's in the room. Kudos to IT. There's a lot of work that's gone into the background here that's going to enable this, and it's going to allow us to start running much faster. You'll start to see a lot more identity providers start adding in quicker because the foundations have now been built. And so again, look forward to your feedback in the coming tech previews. And we have some time, so there's some microphones there if you have any kind of questions that you want to go ahead and ask, or I can repeat the question if you don't want to stand.
You said you're bring your own SAML.
Mm-hmm.
Are you planning on bring your own OpenID connect?
Actually, so we've had customers ask for bring your own SAML. The NetScaler authentication that you saw is actually done via OpenID Connect. So we can, I don't want to say this, but you can actually put a URL there, and it might be able to work if we work together. But yeah, bring your own OpenID Connect as well as bring your own SAML will be coming. Bring your own SAML is what we've been asked for, so that will be first. And then OpenID Connect will be next. We're actually, most of the identity platform is all built on OpenID Connect. So the question was, will bring your OpenID Connect also be on the roadmap?
And will we be able to modify the claims on your side if we can't do it on the other side?
Right, so that's what the piece that's missing is the ability to say this claim equals this claim for us. So that's what will be coming, yeah. So there'll be certain claims that we need, UPN, SID, email, that you can map to whatever claim you want. That's coming in the bring your own case. But the NetScaler is basically that, but it's a hard-coded profile that we've built that you just use. You don't have to worry about the claims. It does it for you.
And you're using the authorization code flow.
Yes.
And you're using encrypted claims for password.
Yes. Yes. And the encrypted claims are going in the access token instead of the identity token. Yes. Question?
Last year there was discussion about the native push application.
So the question is, there's this discussion about native push. So native push is coming first to the traditional on-premises gateway, and then will be coming on the roadmap after Radius. So our solution is to do it with the traditional NetScaler first, and then push after. Any other questions? In the back.
Can you set your authentication to be different on a per resource location basis coming up?
So not on a per resource location basis. There is, again, how about come talk to me after, and then I'm not sure what I'm allowed to talk about, but it is coming, but not on a per resource location basis, but on a different basis.
So you guys talk a lot about Workspace. What about endpoint management, mobile device enrollment support for these different IDPs?
Yeah, so any IDP that we add, if you're using the Zen Mobile, cloud-based Zen Mobile, will be leveraging all of these. So they're part of the ecosystem of Citrix Cloud.
Okay, so no additional configuration, or will that be coming later? We're on-prem right now. We want to move to the cloud. We have a passwordless goal that we need to be by the end of the year with passwords. We're already using Okta today, but we need to figure something out. So
Yep.
we're going to move to the cloud. We just need to make sure that these pieces line up exactly. We need Zen Mobile. We need to be able to roll using Okta, using cloud. We just want to make sure that all that lines up.
Right, so the question was, will Zen Mobile in the cloud, is it part of the Citrix identity platform? Will it support all of the IDPs and directories that were shown? And the answer to that is yes. So look out for that. That's, again, coming soon. You'll see probably first Azure AD roll out, because Azure AD is already in the identity platform, and it'll be supported in Zen Mobile. And then as we add these, part of bringing these, and that's why we go internal tech preview and tech preview, is that we need to test it with all the products, make sure it all works, make sure there's no gotchas that are individual to that our customers see, and then that's how we roll out, so you'll see it. So I would say be on the lookout for the public tech preview, or if you're interested in internal tech preview, talk to Oscar.
Thank you.
Okay?
This guy in the back. Blue shirt.
Okay, so are you from Veridium? Is that the our part of it? So let me repeat the question. The question is, fundamentally, what is the difference between cloud-enabled FAS and the FAS we have today? So the FAS that's out there today is supported with a storefront, and the FAS and the storefront need to be joined to the same Active Directory that the VDA is joined to. And so that's what's out in the product today. So if a lot of our customers, many of our big customers who have gone to federated login, are using federated authentication services with storefront on-prem. So what's happening here is we are now taking that same infrastructure that those customers have set up, or that new customers will set up, and they're in control of that trust boundary, is that will have a trust relationship with Citrix Cloud Workspace. So what you saw here that we have not ever shown before is the Cloud Workspace is in the cloud, is redirecting to an on-prem NetScaler to do an authentication, but we also showed it going to a cloud Azure AD and then doing single sign-on with federated authentication services that is running on-premises. So what's new is the cloud trust of the federated authentication services. Okay? No more questions? Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed the rest of the show.